If you want to have a long lasting and successful business, not only now, but at 10 years from now, relationship building is an important skill. Some African proverbs say if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. It takes a village to raise a child, and it takes a village to grow a business. Today, in Diamond Effect Podcast, episode 194, I want to talk about building relationships and especially in sales and business development. First, let me share a story with you. One of my post university jobs, so very early in my 20s, was actually in sales for the fashion industry. I was working for a Turkish fabric producer who had their wholesale operation back in Poland, in my home country. And they were selling different fabrics to clothing manufacturers in Poland. When I got hired, first of all, I knew very little about fashion. I was definitely a trendy, fashion forward young woman at the time. And I didn't have much sales experience or training at that moment. It was a new territory for me, not only the industry, but also the role that I had. However, at that time, Poland was going through hard economic times. There was a high unemployment. So, hey, a job was there. I was offered it. I took it. So when I started the job, I came into an established team of salespeople, people who already had contacts in the industry. They had long-term clients. They've done a job for a while. Some of them are really good at it. And there was me, this young graduate, not too fashionable. But I was determined to figure it out. I really always want to excel in whatever I'm doing. I decided that I'm just going to figure it out. And I did. Within a year, I became one of the best salespeople the company had with the highest sales. I remember when I announced to my boss at the time that I was actually leaving my job because I was moving to Canada, he was not happy. He actually almost cried. My boss was a former NATO officer, Turkish, no BS approach, strong personality. You know that maybe I was doing something right at that time. So how did I do it? How did I go from no sales training, not much knowledge about the industry to one of the best salespeople that the company had? It was strategy and relationship building. And that's why I want to share that with you and share with you a little bit of my approach of and that's why I want to share with you my concept of relationship ripple effect, because in business, when you grow, even your service business, it will be foundation to your long lasting success. Great relationships can create opportunities in your business than no paid advertising or organic marketing can ever create. So the strategy allowed me to figure out which potential client I could reach out to, how to break the ice and how to set up a meeting with them. It's the same when I coach my clients on strategic relationship building. It's not just about relationship building with everybody around us because we don't have enough time or energy to do it, but strategically deciding who do I want to create relationship with and then put your resources of time and effort and energy into doing it. The relationship building is all about really learning and listening to the other person. In the terms of my job, when I did have a meeting with a client, I first listened and learned about their business, about what their needs were in terms of designing the clothing, their needs as business owner and clothing producers, what was important to them, what they were looking for. And that allowed me to know what fabrics could I offer. My fabrics were the solutions to their problems. They were solutions to whatever they wanted to achieve that particular collection, that particular season. And then every meeting, they would buy a little bit from me, and then they would trust me more, and then they would buy more, and so on. And that's how I grew in my sales, but I also expanded my relationships because then the clients started referring me to other producers. So, as a small business, you can always get more clients, of course, if you have a valuable offer that your clients want and need. But and when you add to that some powerful relationship, you can really thrive no matter the economy. Another thing with power relationship is not that it's not always just referral partnerships or just always the relationship with your clients, of course, are key, but also with collaborators and your suppliers and people who your business interacts with. And that can help you in ways that sometimes you cannot predict. Another more recent story from my business is I was nominated by one of my clients to an RBC, Royal Bank of Canada Women of Influence Award. But their process of receiving through the applicants and nomination is very structured. It's in depth. There is a jury and a panel that then decides which applicants become finalists and who wins. So, in that process, I decided to apply since my client took time to nominate me. It was a very structured and extensive process. And part of that process was to provide reference letters for you and your business that were not client testimonials. The jury needs to know how your business operates in the community that it's in. It was easy for me to think of 4 organizations, 4 people within those organizations who could give me the references, partner, referral partners, or my clients, but also different organizations that my business interacts with. So, what are 3 key things to building strong relationships? First of all, is giving first. The way I approach every relationship is not with the mindset of what can I get out of it, but how can I contribute? How can I give? Whether it's through fulfilling my contractual obligations. If I hire a supplier or a contractor and we agree to something and they deliver their part, I want to make sure that I'm delivering my part. And not only just my part, but as well as I can, paying invoices ahead of time, giving the information that they need, being proactive, communicative, or whatever else. If it's a networking group that I belong to, how can I, outside of just being a member, contribute to that group? Maybe I volunteer as a leader. Maybe I volunteer to put up an event together. That give first mentality always starts creating win-win relationship, and you're not relying on somebody else to do that, but you take the lead. I believe we're all leaders. The first person you always lead is yourself, then your business, then your community, your people, and so on. Taking that leadership approach to let me do my part first and trust that the other side will do their part. Starting with the value creation before asking for it and being proactive about it. So, not waiting for somebody to ask me to offer the value, but being proactive. And it's not about forcing yourself to do something that is not aligned with who you are, or you don't have time or resources to do that, but really by being authentic and who you are, thinking, how can I contribute in a way that doesn't put too much pressure on me in terms of I stretch myself too thin and I cannot fulfill some other obligations, but how can I contribute while still being in harmony with everything else that is going on in my business, in my life? The second part of strong relationship is building that win-win relations, right? So how can I make sure that our partnerships is mutually beneficial? As we said, maybe I volunteer my time or my expertise to some meetings, and then I collaborate with giving some workshops that are paid to the members of the community. For example, in some networking groups, I run certain meetings, but as I do one-on-ones with running the meetings, I become more recognizable. People remember me, so they're more likely to refer me or think about me as their coach when they're ready. So for you, you want to also think like that, right? If I'm entering into a relationship, I want to build strategically a partnership with an organization, with a person. I want to create a referral partner or center of influence, some other people call them. Or I want to build a partnership with the organization because I believe in what they do. How can I add value first? And of course, in time, I want to trust that value will get back to me. And if it doesn't, then you have an evaluation to make. Is that really a relationship that I want to continue building? Now, I want to say that sometimes it takes a few tries or time to develop it. For example, one of my clients wanted to build relationship with realtors. And I know that the first time she was doing it for first year or two, nothing really was clicking, working. And at first she lost belief that realtors are truly her strategic referral partners. But when we started coaching together and we started getting back to it, when I was guiding her in developing those relationships, then things started clicking. And why? Because she gave it enough time. She didn't get discouraged at the first maybe failure or challenge that she gained. She kept looking for the right person, right? Because let's be real, it takes two people to build a relationship. And when you're connecting with other people, you want to connect with them, whether because they have the same values as you, maybe their philosophy of running a business is the same, or their philosophy of building a relationship is the same. Sometimes it takes time, and those strong relationships don't happen overnight. They don't happen after one coffee chat. You need to give it enough time and enough trust and enough effort for working. For any strategic relationship, in order to last, the win-win philosophy is necessary. If only one side is giving and only one side is getting, it's not gonna last at all. The third part of it is, of course, consistency. Consistency is a key driver. We don't trust people if we just met them once in their life. The trust is built over time. So regular touch points with your strategic partners are important. It doesn't have to be every day. It doesn't have to be every week, but maybe once a quarter, a couple of times a year. Over time, creates trust, creates stronger bonds. Being reliable is another thing that builds trust. Consistently reliable. If I have a friend who I can never rely on or always backs out last minute of whatever they committed to, I'm not going to trust this friend. And maybe potentially I'll decide what's the point of having a friend if I can't even trust them, or are we really friends? So it's the same in business relationships. Being reliable, true to your word. If you commit to something, doing it, showing up like a professional is key. Being consistent allows you for that long-term nurturing. And yes, with some business relationships, you also will become friends with those people, but it's not necessary. You can have a very powerful professional relationship based on respect and trust and still not be best friends. However, it still requires touch points, consistency, and different strategies. And what type of strategies, it really depends on who you are and what's authentic to you. Who is the other person? What type of relationship am I building? Is it a referral partnership? Is it a collaboration? Is it a client? You want to adjust to that. And just trust that you know what's best, that you understand the other person well enough, especially if you took time to connect with them and listen and learn about them, that you will know what those touch points are. So then what happens over time when you create those partnership and relationships, you can never predict the positive ripple effect and the extent to it that it will have until you really start. And I teach that concept to my clients in Diamond Effect Group, but also one-on-one clients where we take specific strategies to their business, to what they're trying to achieve, to the type of partnerships they're building. We always focus on developing a value proposition for each partnership that will create those win-win scenarios. We decide on what my clients should give and how they create value so it doesn't strain them and doesn't strain other. We create strategies also how they're going to give value in those relationship and partnerships so it doesn't strain their resources and compromise other commitments that they have in their business and their personal lives. And the magic happens when you integrate those relationships and partnerships into your larger business growth strategy. That's when the magic happens. And that's when I think coaching is so valuable. If you're interested in learning more how relationship ripple effect can help your business grow long term and sustainably, reach out to me. Check out my website, stairwaytoleadership.com. Talk to you next time.